put my phone on silent as well. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you for that. Awesome. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you're listening in from, for this great another webinar with We Connect International and Procter and Gamble. This is the third of the webinars that we're doing in the series of 5 this year with Procter and Gamble South Africa team. Procter and Gamble have pulled out the best of their teams. We've got amazing experts to speak to us. Today, we're going to focus on sales, that topic that we all really need to tune up and get better at in order to really make sure our businesses do well this year. There's a lot to learn from our amazing speaker who has a lot of sales experience for many years. He's going to introduce himself. So all I'm going to do is say, please have your mics on mute. We're using the chat box for Q&As. There's a lot of slides we need to get through, and we want to get through all of the expertise that's going to be shared with us today. I'm going to hand over to Mikhail from P&G to please just introduce himself and then introduce our great speaker. Thank you for joining, everyone. It's going to be a great session. Over to you, Mikhail.
Didn't realize I was on mute there. So hi everyone, I'm Riccardo from the procurement team. I currently manage purchasing, and I'm also involved in the BEE and citizenship and supply diversity programs that P&G runs. So great to be part of this We Connect program for the 3rd year now, and looking forward to the future engagements that we have the rest of these coming weeks. And with that, I'll hand over to Rick, who's got an intro for himself. So Rick, it's over to you.
Great, thank you very, very much. Just a second, the slides are that is strange. Okay, just give me a second, because I guess they're not moving on your side if they're not moving on my side.
No, they're not moving yet. We've still got the opening slide. Okay, you've gone, move again, move to the next slide. That's it. Now we've got your cover slide.
Right, sorry. Is it moving now?
Yes, they are.
Yes. Okay, fantastic. All right, great. Thank you very much for the introduction. And most importantly, thank you for the actual platform today. It's really I'm really proud to be part of this presentation, and especially with the successful and driven entrepreneurs and business owners in the We Connect international community. And as the team has said, so my name is Riccardo Cele. It's actually my 2nd year being part of the group, at least from a P&G side, presenting to the We Connect international members. And maybe it's a good sign, right? So I must have done something right the last time, yeah? So I really appreciate the team calling me back for a 2nd session. And hello to everyone that maybe I had met before, right? I can't see everybody's faces, but thank you very much, and it's good to have you on the platform. All right, so from an experience point of view, and I'm sure you've read the email that has been sent out, so I won't go into too much detail. But from a responsibility point of view, I've been at Procter and Gamble now 15.5 years. Yeah, worked in marketing, worked in different countries in Kenya, responsible for Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia. I've worked in sales specifically for the last 7 years, responsible for trade marketing as well as our distributor operations part of the business. And I sit on the Exco on the Southern African lead team. Now, I thought I'd start out by just maybe giving an introduction in terms of myself, right? And how the relationship, or at least my passion for We Connect. Yeah. So when the team and Mikhail came to present to the lead team and said, this is the vision that they had over 2 years ago, for me, it was something that sort of sparked a plug in my head. And the reason why is I feel that I have a sense of responsibility. Yeah. And why I say that, I'll just get into more of a personal part of myself. So this is a picture of my family. Hopefully it's clear enough and you guys can see. And the one thing that stands out there for sure is that I'm the only thorn amongst the beautiful roses. So I've got two girls that are 10 years old, an 8-year-old, as well as our last born, the one sitting in front of the picture, Azania, who is now 4, turning 5 later this year. So where the responsibility comes is when I look at the ladies in my life, yeah, whether it's my wife or my daughters, there's a sense of responsibility that I feel I have, at least, in terms of doing my bit to make sure that I give them an equal opportunity. I realize even working at P&G, right, in terms of even the brands that we work on, for example, Always, is that one of the most difficult things when a female needs to compete in a male-dominated world is that something as simple as school access or going to school regularly is a challenge because of the menstruation cycle. From the data that we have, we know that girls miss up to a week in a month for in any month, right? Because of their menstrual cycles, which puts them at a disadvantage versus their male counterparts. And this is only talking about school. I'm not talking about having to find a new job, yeah? I'm not talking about the challenges that you have, whether it's at university, juggling everything that you need to do from a responsibility point of view. And sometimes the culture doesn't help, right? Because as a young girl growing up, you're expected to do certain things even at home and additional responsibilities that are female framed, which then puts our female population at a disadvantage. So I feel that I have a sense of responsibility, not only for my girls or my wife, but even the women out in South Africa and the world, to do my bit to ensure that we sort of level the playing field in my own small, unique way. And with that, I've got a small story. Asante is 10 years old, yeah. She's a girl, right? However, she has a passion for some of the most amazing things, yeah. This is when it was her 5th birthday. She was going to, she had asked to actually be, or have a Spider-Man theme, yeah. And for her sister, it's something different, right? For her, it was more focused of, I want to be, you know, the Princess Sophia. That's my theme. That's what I want to do, yeah. But for me, what encourages me about her, she's the one on the left, yeah, so the first one on the left, Asante. She decided to, for her sister's birthday party, to be dressed as a prince, yeah. And it just shows the comfort that she has and the confidence that she has in who she is, yeah. We still went ahead with her Spider-Man birthday, yeah. And for me, what there was most resounding input when I went to go visit, at least the parents' days, as you go to your parents' days, when the teacher said to me that Asante had articulated her interest in this specific sentence, she said, I know I'm a girl, but I love and enjoy boy things, yeah? And for me, that was really profound, yeah? And it made me understand that from a challenge point of view, yeah, she can do whatever she wants and she's not limited by what society sees her as versus what the interests that she has, yeah? And for me, it's something that keeps me motivated. And my part as a parent to ensure that I also encourage her to be herself, but most importantly, to rise to the challenge every day. And this is what I understand the messages from the team, right? When Mikel briefed me to say, what is the objective of the session and what we need to achieve? One of the things that stood out is the challenge to the We community is basically for 2021 is to rise to the challenge. Yeah? How do you, the current woman that we have in this group rise to the challenge of 2021? Yeah? And this vision at least spoke to me as well, especially when I look at my family and my beautiful girls. So without further ado, I'd just like to touch on the 3 areas that we'll talk about today. Yeah? One is setting a meaningful sales strategy. And the second one is looking at methods in terms of in-depth customer understanding. And then the last one, seeing how do we motivate our team. This is a principle that I'm following, yeah, and hopefully there's something you can pick up from the steps that I'll take you through. The first one I want to take you through is what we call account relationship strategy, yeah. When we dive into the details, what you'll notice is about selecting and executing the right strategy, yeah, to outperform your competition, yeah, both in market share as well as in wallet share. Now, from a wallet share point of view, and sometimes we're very shy to say this, yeah, but it's important to understand from a wallet point of view, how much do you get from your consumer? how much you get from your client. Yeah, because if you don't get any share of this wallet, it's going to go to someone else. So it's that important that you're very clear from a relationship strategy what you intend to achieve and how much of that share you want to achieve. Just a small antidote as well, if you allow me to take a bit of a side road. ShopRite today is about 160 million rand. Yeah. When you look at this 160 billion, sorry, when you look at the size of their business, yeah, the question we ask ourselves is that if ShopRite is that size, right, how do we get disproportionate market share? How do we get their shoppers, their consumers to choose our brands when they go into their stores? And that's a critical way to look at it, yeah. Because if I don't do that, yeah, that 160 will go to someone else, yeah, or a portion of that will go to someone else. The second part that we're going to unpack in the three areas we'll focus on is attaining leverage in terms of thought leadership, right? That's one of the key ways to get in-depth understanding from your customer. Yeah. Your customer or your client has a problem that needs to be resolved. And if you are seen in their eyes as someone that is in the forefront of thought leadership, they will always come to you, especially in times of crisis. Yeah. And I'll pause there. I'm not sure how many of you, during this time of crisis, you had your clients, yeah, your customers, come to you and say, you know what, you're an expert in this field. Yeah. What are the business solutions that you can provide for my business so that I can get out of this crisis, or when this crisis is over, I can actually come on top? The last part we'll cover is the 5 steps in terms of leading a team remotely, right? I know it's very, very difficult, yeah, especially even in sales with us, where the guys are always in the trade, yeah. Even with COVID, I mean, we had to follow strict regulations to make sure that our teams are protected. But even the guys that are working from home, yeah, how do we ensure that you create the level of motivation for everyone to get up every day and sit at their desk, or to get up every day and pack that shelf? We'll unpack this as the presentation goes. Jean and Mikhail, I just wanted to check if I'm audible and everything is clear. You guys can still hear me?
Yes, we can see you. We can hear you. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's dive into the account relationship strategy. The first question to ask is exactly what is an account relationship strategy? Yeah. It starts with your business plan, right? And I'm speaking to the converted. You guys have successful businesses. You developed your business plan years ago, yeah? Some of you had to go to actually, whether it was the bank, yeah, whether it's to a spouse, family member, or even the IDC, in order to secure the funds that you need to reach your market, yeah? Because you needed to reach your clients, you needed to reach your customer, yeah? So whether it was the bank, family member, yeah, or some investment institute, once they understood that, right, that you've got a business plan, it's sound, and you've got clients or markets that will actually be interested in the product that you're going to provide, yeah, the most important part that bridges that is what we call the account relationship strategy, yeah, because without that bridge, you could have the best business plan, you could have a fruitful client base or market base that is interested in what you are actually positioning for them. But without the right relationship, it's very difficult to achieve the ultimate that you want to achieve, and especially outperform your competition. Now, I just want to unpack what we're calling the account relationship strategy. Yeah, it's basically made up of 4 areas. Yeah. And I've already covered the market part. So when you look at the market, which is in the center, think of it as your client, think of it as your customer, think of it as your shopper, right? That is your market. Yeah. This is made up of 2 areas, your known need and your unknown opportunity. However, from a strategy options point of view, that you need to look at your business and choose, there's 4 sections that you need to consider. And as we go through these, please try and think, where do you position your business? Yeah. It may be a situation of, this is where I want to be, I'm not there yet, or I'm in this area, but I'd like to be in a certain area in terms of the strategy options that are available. So the blue section of the market that surrounds it is basically the innovation, right? This is what you bring to the market, yeah. And in the 4 ways that we'll cover now, we'll explain exactly how this is interpreted by your market. So the first one is related to what we call the transaction focus, yeah. We all know this, right? Where it's literally a relationship with the customer or your client, where you go in and you basically say how much it is, what is the quantity, you provide the service. That is it, yeah. It's a very transactional focus in terms of the relationship. There's nothing wrong with it, of course, yeah. The only thing is that it's very limiting in terms of either repeat business or even consistency in terms of interactions, yeah. But it still pays the bills, it's pays the bills. So there's nothing wrong with having a transactional focus, but it shouldn't be where you should aim to be for the long term because it's not sustainable. The second area is what we call the process focus, yeah. This is where you are able to provide a solution for the market, yeah, patented or not, but you're probably at the leading edge in terms of providing this process solution to the market, right? Not a bad place to be, but it's a known need, and maybe there's a few competitors that also provide that service. The third one is what we call the business focus, yeah? And now here we're actually warming up, because specifically in this area, the focus is on what propositions you can give the market, yeah? So is it a case of you giving them multiple options, yeah? Is it a case that you're solving not for one area of the business, yeah? So whether it's the marketing function, whether it's the logistics function, yeah, or a finance solution in terms of a system integration, yeah. It's more opening to the actual customer or client, yeah, where you almost become what we call a political partner for the customer or the client. The last one, and this is now the utopia, where it's called the partnership focus. And in this area, you are possibly part of the organization, yeah. I mean, you basically walk through the P&G buildings, corridors, and people are even surprised that, oh, by the way, you're a service provider, yeah, because you've integrated yourself so much into the company, into the organization. And I know some of you also provide services even for P&G, and maybe even use our acronyms, yeah. And this is where you should aim to be from an account relationship point of view. Let's unpack that even more. So what value do you bring in each of the different sections? So from a transaction focus, it's mainly about price. I mentioned earlier on. Product, price, thank you very much. You move on to the next client, yeah, and they continue with the product that you provided. From a process focus point of view, it's a little bit more sort of commitment-wise because there's a cost of ownership, yeah. So they may still need you to come in, you know, whether it's to sort of tweak it a little bit, yeah, service the product that you're providing, yeah. So there's a little bit more interaction, but it's not yet in terms of value contribution, yeah, where there's an underlying value, which then even sometimes, and there's no harm in saying this, where you can actually require or request additional profitability or margin, right? Because the value equation of the service that you provide is at a premium versus your competitors. The last one is related to the shared risk and reward, yeah? This is in any partnership, yeah? Whether it's spouse, married, partnership that you sign up with anyone, this is where is the best position to be with your client or your customer, where you guys are able to share not only the risk, but also the reward, more importantly. And for me, it's very surprising sometimes when a service provider comes to me and we have had a transactional relationship, yeah, or sometimes even a new relationship, yeah, and they've got a system or I've got a requirement, yeah, because we do get audited at P&G, so we take stewardship quite seriously, and sometimes we require certain standards, yeah, which is sometimes ahead of some of our competition. And because of that, of course, then the expectation is that our service provider may need to invest, yeah, in order to acquire that technology, yeah, in order to achieve the standard that we require. Now, at the beginning of a relationship where it's transactional, yeah, it's very difficult to come to the client, sorry, and say to the client, let's share this cost, yeah. You know, you and I are partners. We've been at this together for a long time. This time I'll take the hit. Next time you leverage and help me where I'll need it going forward. Yeah? Obviously everything above board. Now the last layer is related to recognition, right? Usually with the transactional focus, it's very dependable, yeah? So I know the product, I'll get it, I know the price, I'll get it, and I know I'll get it on time. Boom, thank you very much. I move on, yeah? So it's a very dependable sort of relationship that you have with your client or your customer. The second one under process focus is more the problem solver, yeah? I've got a system solution that requires to be fixed. The problem solver can help me with this. And that's where I go to my process focus, yeah, under the known need. However, when you look at the business focus, yeah, this one is more of an advisor. So unlike the process focus, I don't come to you and say, this is the solution that I need, yeah. What does it take to make it happen? Under the business focus, I come to you and say, I've got a business problem. What is your advice in terms of me finding a solution? And once we find the solution, you'll be the one that helps me bring it to life. Lastly, this is the one that is a market maker. What you'll notice now that we've gotten to the end of the actual cycle is that if you look at the centerpiece where we started, it started with the market that you are trying to provide a service to. And if you look at the fourth pillar, which is under partner focus, once you're at that level, it's more about creating the new markets with your supplier, with your clients. And once you've reached that level, you can actually start the cycle once again, right? Where you start with the partnership, the shared risk and reward, and then ultimately again to the market maker. Very, very interesting strategy. And what really connects them all is, if you look at the transaction part, yeah, it's linked to on-demand providing. Yeah, I need a solution, get it done. Yeah, this one is more of a specialist. Yeah, so who can actually provide the service? That's why I turn to you. The political insider is my confidant. It's the one I bounce things off before even trying to find the solution. And then the last one is that you are seen as a mutual ally. Yeah. Working together hand in hand in order to get the best out of the business plan that you've created and the market share that you want. And like I said earlier on, the wallet share. Now, I asked this question earlier on, and I hope you've also been thinking about it, yeah? And it's good that maybe you write it down for yourself as well, you know? If you ask yourself these 4 questions, where are you now? Yeah. If you look at the actual strategy in terms of an account relationship, where are you now? With my client base, do I have a transactional relationship? Yeah. Or do I have a business-focused relationship? Then the next question you want to ask yourself is, what is the status of that relationship? Yeah. Is it strained? Yeah. Is it a relationship that is progressing to the partner focus? Because for some of these, it's a journey. You may start out under the transactional focus and you journey through to eventually getting to the partner focus. So ask yourself and understand, what is the status of your relationship? The third one is, what is your objective? Like I said earlier on, there's nothing wrong with having a client base, a customer base that is transactional focused. Yeah. Earlier on, I mentioned that I'm also responsible for distributor operations. Yeah. One of the things that we battle with and we're also trying to change, and I'm loving it because I'm seeing it from the wholesaler group, is they want to move away from a transactional focus. Yeah. Traditionally, wholesalers, whether it's Africa Cash and Carry or any other type of customer, Continental, KitKat, they're moving away from what's the best price you can give me, give me your product, and make sure that there's no service level hits, that I get 100% of my product. Now these retailers are asking questions about how can we reach the end consumer, not just the retailer that comes and buys in my store. How can I leverage technology with my telesales marketing? And for me, it's encouraging from a P&G point of view that these are the type of discussions we're having with our traditionally transactional focused customers. The last one, and most importantly, is then what is your strategy? Yeah? And is there a disconnect versus what you want to achieve and where you are right now? And as I said earlier on, I wouldn't expect your full client base to be only one focus area, yeah, because you may need a certain base that is transactional, yeah. But the question is, where do you want to be going forward? So at this point, I'd probably like to pause, Jean and Michael, Vanessa, just to see if there's any questions or if there's any clarification that is needed before we move on to the next section.
Great, thanks, Rick. And so no questions came through in the chat yet, but maybe we give it a minute or so. If anyone has questions for Rick, can you please send them through and we can touch on them before moving on to the next section.
Mikhail, can I just suggest we just move on because there's still a lot to come, and then we can catch up in the next Q&A section. There's a lot of thinking that's going on. This is great. So I think we're all processing.
No problem, no problem. Okay, so we've covered the account relationship strategy. Now we're going to move on to what we call in at least thought leadership. Right? Because the question I understood from the group, and it's what we're trying to answer, is how do we gain in-depth knowledge of our customers? And my advice is providing the thought leadership. And you guys have it, right? There's no way you would be in the position that you are in now, starting your business, yeah, whether it's with a partner, whether it's on your own, right? Because there's something that you can provide the market, yeah? The next question is, how do you then become in the forefront of what's changing, what is to come, and being the confidant for your customer going forward? So what is thought leadership? Yeah? It's basically 3 areas that you need to look at. Is 1, creating and sharing innovative thoughts, yeah, that provoke ideas. Yeah. Think about that. Creating and sharing innovative, thought-provoking ideas. That's thought leadership. And as we spoke about the account relationship strategy, one of the 2 areas we looked at was the business focus and the partnership focus. And the only way you can achieve this is if in those areas, right? Because your customer, your client, will always see you as the outsider that can provide useful, disruptive patterns of thinking, yeah? Which then starts the conversation. Yeah. If 100% of my business is in the traditional wholesaler business, yeah, there's no way I can influence thought patterns. We've actually got a program called Shopper Psychology, right? Which we take to our customers, yeah? And it's basically cognitive science, where over and above the different innovation centers we have around the world. So we have iDubai in Dubai, we have in Europe, in Geneva, yeah, as well as in Asia, where we take our customers and we basically build their future store. It starts with input from them. So we work it together. Yeah? So it's not a surprise. Yeah? We start with the shopper psychology, trying to understand cognitively how the shopper shops, the respective categories, and not only our categories, right? So as far as when a shopper walks into the store, does she go left? Does she go right? Yeah. Does he go immediately to the deodorant section, sorry? Or does he start at the back in the bakery section? Yeah. What are the different cues that you have in your store? Yeah. And we call that signposting. So when I see a red sign under refreshments, I immediately think Coca-Cola. So I know that's where I can find juices. That's where I can find soft drinks. Yeah. So we look at all that data, and we provide a platform, for example, in iDubai, where we create the store that will give the most maximum output for our retailers. Yeah. And that is a form of thought leadership that we provide. So if I unpack it a little bit, it's about taking the data, as I mentioned earlier on. We've got huge amounts of data. Yeah. I'm not sure if some of you have seen the technology where you've got visual aids. The shopper walks into the shop, into the store. You can actually see the different areas that he or she looks at, how much time they actually spend. Amazing technology, amazing technology. Yeah. Whether they look at the PI label, whether they look at a gondola end or a pallet display, how much time they spend in a certain section of the store. Now, that's all data that we have, and it can't end there. And one of the things most of the countries that interact with us say is that we are so fortunate in South Africa in terms of the amount of data that we have. The challenge, though, is taking that information, yeah, and turning it into insights. All right. So if I know that a mom goes into a store, yeah, and she goes into a store because she doesn't want to go into multiple stores. She wants to go into the store, buy her diapers, buy her formula milk, yeah, and pick up other items for the household. Yeah, that's meaningful information for my customer, right? Because that can increase his basket. So giving him the insight that when a consumer walks into your store and you're pulling in the feet, how do you make sure that she doesn't leave your store and go to another store down the road for a product that you have in your store? The insight then leads to the prediction. What does it mean in terms of behavior? And that's why we're even calling it shopper psychology, because it's getting into the brain and getting to the understanding of the shopper and how they actually shop the shelf. Now, there's a few tips in terms of the model, right? And it's actually called tips. Yeah. I didn't develop it, so maybe it's ironic that it's called tips. But the model actually unpacks thought leadership. The first part is about looking at the trends. Yeah. Understanding where the market is moving to. Now, once you understand where this market is moving to, you need to then understand what is the implications. Yeah. What does your client need to do now in order to be ready for that change or to be in the forefront of that change? Yeah. How can they capitalize on it? Yeah. If there are risks, what are the risks? And then this is where the cream comes in, right? The chicken comes to roost. What are the solutions? And guess what? You can provide. Yeah. Because once you've taken the customer through that journey, 10 times out of 10, you'll be the one that helps provide the solution. Even if it's multifaceted, you play a specific role because you've identified the trends, you understood what the implications are, and you looked at what are different possibilities that they can leverage. Now, if you look at each of them, they're made up of external forces, the customer, as well as internal forces. So the first one is external forces, yeah? Trying to understand exactly what to anticipate. In terms of implications and possibilities, this is where you get the high gaining questions, yeah? In terms of what is the right way to open the door, because that gets you in to your customer. Yeah? The third one, still related to your customer, is what are you willing to give and take? Yeah? What are the possibilities for the market? And then lastly, looking internally, what do you need to leverage? So what are the tools, the capabilities that you need to invest in, yeah, that you need to acquire in order to take advantage of the opportunity? Yeah. And you need to look at it in terms of, from a vendor point of view, right? On demand, or are you a business advisor? And that's how the model comes together. Now, some typical trends that you need to consider, and it's basically three, is one is called the emerging, yeah, specifically in terms of events or situations, yeah, in terms of the early stage that are taking shape. So what is the new emerging need for our consumers, for your shopper, for your clients? Because the last thing you want to do is get on the Facebook wagon, right? Which is maybe 8, 10 years ago, right? What is the new emerging trends? And what are the early stages? And how are they taking shape? Accelerating, yeah? So how do you accelerate this emerging trend? A typical example for us is on Pampers, pants, right? One of the countries that we have actually in Botswana, yeah, the pants diaper, so basically the diaper that doesn't have the tape, yeah, so you basically pull it up, yeah. That is the biggest size in our business right now in Botswana, yeah. And the question we're trying to solve in South Africa is, how do we accelerate this trend? Because we've seen it already in other parts of the world, yeah, the likes of Asia, Japan, yeah. In some of these countries, the taped diaper doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. Because it's built on a specific need from a shopper where it assists in terms of potty training, because it has the same sort of movement that a baby would need to do as they're learning to potty train when they're wearing underwear. And the mom, from a usage point of view, doesn't have to keep on taping it up, taping it, sticking to the child's skin and all of those things. Now, the question is, how do we accelerate that in the South African market? The third one is in terms of existing. Yeah? How are your clients having to decide how they feel about this known trend? And I know this is very difficult, right? Especially when it's an emerging trend. And that's the debate we're having with our customers now. How do we drive the pants business? How do we invest? And it's very difficult for customers sometimes to comprehend, because you've got such a big taped business, and you want to invest in a business that is still very small, but growing fast. I spoke earlier on about entry doors. In terms of how do you then get the door open to then speak to the customer, yeah, or get your foot into the client's door. Yeah. Now, the primary thing to look at in terms of entry to doors is it a direct entry, yeah, in terms of finding the solution, or is it a secondary entry, right? Now, this I don't even need to preach to this group, right? Because in order to get where you are now, you've probably had to bash into some of these doors, right? Or speak to someone that can get you into the door, right? This is to reinforce that that is the right approach. So let's look at some of the entrants that one can use, yeah? So what are the job titles you can you have called, yeah, on most often, yeah, in terms of your sales pursuit? Is it the executive? Yeah. Tell you an interesting story. For me, and I always say this to my team, there's no one more powerful in any business, in any organization, I don't care the size of the business, than the PA, assistant, or receptionist. Yeah. Because they're the ones, while they are secondary, have the ability to open doors. Because already you've got a business proposition that is meaningful. It's about getting into the door. That is probably the most difficult. The second question is to ask is, which doors do you use typically? Yeah. That are not used by competitors, of course. Yeah. And does your message differ? The last one is in terms of what job titles you should call on. And you need to make that call. And it really starts with understanding the customer or the client that you're trying to get the door open for. And we'll unpack that in the next slide after this one. But before that, I just wanted to touch on what we call high gaining questions. Yeah. And even for me, sometimes when I sit with suppliers, yeah, or vendors, I should say, it's always the typical question: how's your business doing? Yeah. What are you guys planning to spend this year? What do you want to achieve? Of course, these are questions that we have in our business, right? It's not something we don't ask, yeah. But that's very much a typical question. We need to find a way to move to what we call high gaining questions. High gaining questions lead with data or information or insights, yeah, which can get the recipient to want to engage with you on that specific topic. They want to partner and open up. Sorry, I thought there was a question. They want to partner and open up in terms of letting you know what they're thinking, what they're trying to achieve. So let me maybe give an example. So this is a typical question versus a high gain question. Yeah. What do you believe is critical to happen to enable your company to hit your target growth this year? It's a bigger question. I could possibly answer it in terms of giving numbers, or it could be brief. Yeah. But it's not a high gaining question. So what is a high gaining question? We have seen companies struggle with X trend in your industry. Some have chosen to do Y, while others have done Z. Our experience suggests more success with Z. How is your company combating this trend or turning it around as an opportunity? Wow, jeez. That is mind-blowing. Yeah. Just with that question alone, what we can unpack and be engaged with your customer builds the relationship. And they see you as a thought leader, in their account. I spoke earlier on about doors and opening doors. Yeah. And I said, knowing the agendas of each area of the business is critical, right? So the first layer is the CXO. So sometimes the CEOs, the COOs, the CFOs. Yeah. Then you have what you call your business managers and your functional managers. Now, functional managers is more the survival syndrome, right? Business managers is looking at more the success syndrome. Yeah, they want to get to the top. This is within the organization. And the executives, they're more about significance, yeah? Because they've maybe earned their stripes, who knows? However, pack each one looks for different things. And it's important that you understand each layer. And they've all got a critical role to play. Yeah. A lot of the times, people ask, oh, when are we meeting the CEO for ShopRite? When are we meeting the CEO for Clicks? When are we meeting the CEO for Spark? Yeah. It's all well and good to do that. But are we clear in terms of what we're using that door for? So if you look at the CXO, right? It's about identifying the size of the problem. So it's very big picture, right? Setting the agenda, the mission. Yeah. And for me, until your relationship is in the partnership, and maybe you can get away under the business focus, it's very difficult to have that conversation. Because here you're charting the direction of the business, the direction of the organization. Yeah. Now, for me, the business managers, yeah, are one of the critical ones in terms of areas or levels, right? Because they take the new strategies, yeah, and they advance the corporate agenda. So if we want to be in Advantage, one of the top 5 customers, yeah, the business manager will help us formulate how we actually get there, yeah, the budgets, how they'll split them, and manage the cost and the results. Managers, though, are critical, yeah. I always say it even in our business, yeah. They're the ones that actually run the organization. They're the closest to our people. They are closest to their area of function, so they are actually experts. And if you have a relationship and that door is open, yeah, it then all cascades to the top. Now, if you take a step back, we were talking about high gaining questions. Yeah. Now you've opened the door, you've decided this is where you're targeting and this is where you're going, right? So whether it's the functional manager or the CXO, how do you position yourself in such a way that in your discussions, it's not only a transactional discussion? Yeah. Firstly, you gain credibility as a business advisor. We spoke about it earlier on, right? You validate and expand the most important information, not everything, the most important information. And you follow it up with a question. Thirdly, you get emotionally involved and enrolled in what the business problem is in order to find a solution. A business problem for P&G that is owned by the supplier, that can't sleep at night because we're trying to solve a business problem, has more likely to open the door. So what is the value proposition? Yeah, it's looking at concise, hard-hitting messages, yeah, that create enough curiosity, and that's the key word, curiosity, yeah, so that your potential clients will be compelled to have a face-to-face meeting and explore the merits of the business relationship. So now, if you take it back into the concept of tips, when you look at T, it's our experience research, yeah, that indicate that the companies in your industry are currently doing X. Yeah. That's a value proposition. And when you look at I, if you follow on with that, which is creating or will be creating, you could, with our company's experience, we could assist you. And that's how your tips cascade from a value proposition point of view. So I'll pause just to check if we have any questions, yeah, before I continue into the emotional buttons that I was referring to.
So we do have a few questions, Rick, and I can go ask you them very quickly. The first one is, are retailers not stopping emerging trends through their insistence in continuing to stock the same products?
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's always difficult to change a mindset. Yeah. And the reason why I thought this part of the material is relevant at this time is there's nothing better than a major disruption that we've had like now in order to start those type of conversations. I can't tell you how many meetings that I've been to where customers want to understand what the trends are going to look like, what they're going to need to consider, yeah, not only in the time of crisis, but post-COVID. Yeah. You are now in a unique position to actually change that thinking. It's much more difficult when there hasn't been a shaking of the ground. The earthquake, and there hasn't been an earthquake. The ground hasn't shifted. Yeah, okay.
Great. There's another one which I think is a more general question, and I'm guessing it's from a sales perspective on what is your advice to a startup business? Again, I'm under the assumption here that it's from a sales perspective as well.
Sure. Be specific within the market, the segment you're going to go after. Yeah. So, for example, are you going to position yourself as a cost-efficient service provider, as a startup? Yeah. And is that what you're going to go for? Because at times we get tempted to be everything to everyone, especially under the transactional focus. Where a manufacturer calls and says, you know what, I'm looking for this solution. Yeah. And because you don't want to lose business and you know it's not your core expertise, you still want to go into it, which then moves you and distracts you from your strategy. Being single-minded in terms of focus, and it may be two areas that you want to focus on. Yeah. But try not to be everything to everyone.
Great. And
yeah,
there's one more question that I actually wanted to pose from my side, which I think both you and I can expand on, which would be relevant to the content that you covered today. And that's when you are responding to a pitch for business or putting through a proposal and things, what would be and from your perspective, what would be the most crucial points in that pitch or that tender or that proposal to focus on for a small business? And I would look at small businesses competing against very established players in the market already today.
I think for me, it needs to be the one from a unique point of view. And Michael, as you said, you also add on, right? Is if I'm pitching out or briefing work, yeah, that is for a category solution of some sort, yeah, or a campaign. At this point, we've already decided what the product we're offering. We've already decided on the message that we want to give, right? The insight that you can give, yeah, based on the brief is how do we remain consistent with what we're trying to achieve, right? That will be my advice in terms of sticking to the brief. Miguel, I don't know if you want to add.
I would just build onto it from my side and from being part of many pitches and tenders over the past few years and learnings that I've seen there. And I think one of the big misses is that agencies and vendors do try to go very big from the start. And by trying to go very big and being very flashy, to your point as well, it misses the brief in a case that it doesn't really stick to what the brief asks for. So from what I've seen and the learnings that I've seen and expanded on before, one of the most important things would be to stick to the brief and show the operational discipline to meet the brief. And after that, build on it from a more innovation and creative standpoint.
100%.
Great. So I know we have a few more slides to go through, Rick, and a few more minutes as well. So I would let you carry on from there.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so how do we touch the emotional buttons? Yeah, one is in terms of exciting. Yeah, feeling something very good about it. This was about to happen, right? And this is what I was saying, where a vendor supplier sort of encompasses themselves, in the business problem that we're trying to fix. Excited about it, yeah. Then the second one is in terms of feeling something very bad is about to happen, yeah. So with COVID happening, what are the considerations that I need to have, right? What does it mean for my beauty brands, right? People working from home. Are people worried about shaving that much anymore because their cameras are off? Yeah. Yeah. Are they more generous with their shampoo and their conditioners than they in the shower and getting ready to sit in front of their desk at home? Yeah. What does it mean for my business? That makes me stand up. And also being assuring, right? Whether it's good or bad news or whatever it is, be reassuring that you as a vendor, you as a supplier, have the solution. Yeah. You have it with excitement. You ensure that there's a disruption and it's articulated, and then give the assurance that we were able to resolve it. So with about 4 minutes to go, we're getting to the last part of the presentation. It's actually one slide, where we look at the 5 steps in terms of leading a remote team. Now, as I said earlier on at the beginning of the presentation, this is what I've used with my team, and I've seen them also replicated with their teams. And it's very important because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We value human interaction. Even now, I'm stuck in a room here, talking to a laptop. And I'm sure if somebody was looking through the window, what is this guy doing talking to a laptop? We value human interaction, human engagement. And that's why under this COVID world we live in now, and it's not something that's going to end anytime soon. It's getting better, but we need to find a way to motivate our teams and to cope with the new reality. So if you look at the 5 areas, apologies for the size of the text. Hopefully you'll be able to still read it, but I'll take you through it. And it's broken into 5 steps, broken up into 5 steps. One is encourage your team to structure their day, and do it yourself as well, right? Because it's very difficult to work through anything, without any structure, So be very clear on when you guys are having your meetings, and also fit in things that are engaging, so that you guys are structured, especially in this situation we find ourselves in, where people can work for 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's even more important that we structure the team. I'll give you an example. At P&G, what we've done is that we've created a no meeting zone, right? So between 12 and 1, no meetings. Even if it was our VP that wants to have a meeting during that time, he respects that. Same things with meetings in what we call no flying zones. So there's 5 times in a year for a period of about a week, which we've deployed to the organization, that is a no meeting zone. So of course, business can continue, even if you're not on leave. I mean, think about the Christmas period. We've created that structure. And the company, I mean, the people appreciate that. The second one is organizing your communication, right? There's certain things that you can fix just by picking up a phone call, right? You won't imagine the amount of emails that fly left, right, and center. And especially when they come onto my desk and I scroll down to the bottom and I see how long this conversation has begun. Because anyway, someone will forward it to me and say, please, can you assist? Your team hasn't come back to me. I don't know what they haven't come back to you on. I don't know what the issue was, but okay, Rick, please assist. And some of these things you can fix by just picking up a phone, making a call. There's this great feature where either on WhatsApp or even a normal call, on iPhone at least, where you can add people to a call. And I do that with my team all the time. I'm like, guys, let's just talk about this. And I call 2 people on the phone and we have a quick conference call. Everything's done. We move on, rather than the back and forth emails. The third one is managed by results. More importantly so, right? I've got people in my team that want to wake up at 10, I've got some people on my team that want to finish at 3, finish at 2. The last thing you want to do is manage, especially in this time, when people log in and when people log out. Focus on the results, and your people will appreciate it. The fourth one is in terms of building trust, right? And you build trust by ensuring recognition. We have at P&G what we call power view, and it's literally called power view because it's the power of that individual in achieving something significant for the business. Because we don't want our people to have the mindset of, I'm just one person. I can't impact the business. I can't impact how much or how quickly we service our customers in terms of stock turnaround. How effective my promotion is. So showing them the recognition, and it doesn't even need to be an award. A simple email with the right people on that email saying great job. Without your leadership on this topic, this issue would not have been closed. We would not have brought this dilemma to closure. At the end of the week, guys, you really pushed it this week. Yeah. Well done. I'm proud of you. Enjoy your weekend. Yeah. These small things help. And then the last one is in terms of being deliberate in fostering. Yeah. Myself and my team, we have this virtual lunches, virtual dinners. Yeah. And we don't book business. I mean, sometimes the kids come into the picture. I mean, I've got 4 girls, as I said earlier on. They come into the picture, you know. They greet everyone. Hey, how you doing? You know. And we talk about the interests of the team in a relaxed environment. Sometimes it's a coffee. We have a virtual coffee. Yeah. How are you doing? Yeah. You told me your dad has gone into hospital. How's he feeling? How's your mom managing? These are the small things that make a difference, especially in terms of leading a remote team. So that's the end of my presentation. I can open up to any questions, yeah, if there are any additional questions. Otherwise, because I can see we've slightly gone over, we can wrap up. So Lenogine, as well as Vanessa, Mikhail.
Mikhail, did you have any more questions?
No, it's just people saying thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, great. You're most welcome. Most welcome.
Yeah.
And thank you as well, and happy selling.
Yeah, definitely the happy selling. Thank you so much. It was amazing. Thank you, Mikhail, for always working with us to arrange these amazing events. Riccardo, I'm still on the account relationship strategy slides. My brain was just, oh my God, there's a lot of content there. We actually need a workshop on it because there really was a lot for us to think about, and then think about how does it fit in with your own business and what are you doing right and what do you need to adjust. So thank you for that. Really, really rich content. The tip slides, I need your slides to look at that and really think about what's that about. But thank you. We appreciate your time very much. And like you say, you know, we really value the human interaction and we look forward to being face to face again, hopefully in the future. But in the meantime, thank you to Procter and Gamble for the time that the experts are putting forward. We have 2 more webinars that we're planning, one on government relations and one on marketing. And then we'll share all the recordings with everybody. So please be patient. We will share the recordings so you'll have time to go through them again. It was great listening to one of the women business owners the other day who says she usually takes these recordings and sits down with her team and then they analyze and review their strategies. So the work you're doing really is worth it. As I said to you, don't worry about how many people dialed in. We have a lot of people that are already asking for the recordings, and it goes a long way. We all have a lot to do. I loved your point that, the crisis brings new opportunities for us to be the thought leaders and take our content out there and our new products out there. So thank you for that. Everybody's saying thank you. Thank you for the ladies who dialed in. We really appreciate your time. And from We Connect International in South Africa, thanks to P&G South Africa. We'll see you all next time.
Thank you very much.